Kool-Aid, what's up, baby?
What up, though?
How was the press conference yesterday?
It was live, man. It was electric. Really, you could feel hope in the air. Really.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And by the way, I heard you at that presser. Brandon Dent, Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports, man. Got to put on for the team.
I like the swag.
Only man that asked about Steven Silas, which was probably the question I was waiting on, but I don't know if you guys like talk about what questions you're asking beforehand, or the media just kind of chop it up, but you were the only one who went that route. So I was like, finally, we got a Steven Silas question. But how was it yesterday? Being out there, the players showed up. What was kind of the atmosphere like, number one, because it was kind of delayed a little bit, but number two, just seeing Monty and seeing the entire team there, but Bojan, obviously, because he's in Europe. But how was it?
It was electric. Like I said, where they sat us, the beat and some of the media were front and center in the middle row. Second row is where I was, kind of sat on the end, and I had no idea that the team was going to like literally walk in and sit there. I'm sitting here waiting for the press conference to get going, looking at the front, and a couple people were behind me. Mike Curtis of Detroit News were like, "Bro, get your camera out, bro. Look." I looked to my left, and it's literally Killian Hayes and these guys sitting right there. And I was like, "Yo, it's the whole team." The whole team came out here, you know, except for like Bojan. And it was an awesome show. You know, you have Duran, Ivy, K, and these guys kind of up front. Everybody's repping Detroit. That was kind of a theme, is that this culture, even Monty Williams, who stated he wants so much success, he wants people to think that he's from Detroit. You could sense a different swag. Yeah. It wasn't just like how we were feeling as the media and other people there in the building. It was about how this team was looking, man. Like, I don't know. It was confidence.
And we got tipped early, probably like what, a month or so ago, 2 months ago, on just Tom Gore's just frustration and how bad he wants to win and how bad he wants a winner. And then you kind of see the Monty Williams' storyline unfold. He gets fired. It takes about a month or so to really come to a decision to hire a head coach. Well, Pistons fans were impatient, obviously, as always, but they wanted a head coach. And Monty revealed that his wife was diagnosed, unfortunately, with breast cancer at the time. That's why he needed time away. And credit to Tom Gores for allowing him to be with his family, giving him that opportunity. But overall, I wanted to ask you, because I noticed that Jarrett Jack was there. Talk to me. Like, is something in the works that we don't know about? Because he hasn't been announced officially as an assistant coach. But come on, he was an assistant in Phoenix. Is it as good as a done deal?
It looked like it. Him and Kay Cunningham were like
they were chopping it up,
chopping it up. He had on the Restore shirt. He had on the Restore shirt. He and Jared Jackins. He still got the three. He still got it. He was out there on the court, like on the other end, just shooting.
We could sign him for a 10-day.
I was sitting here like, wasn't he just?
No. I remember him getting backed down by Kobe, hitting buzzers on his ass back in the Indiana days. But
Jared Jackins.
So now that he's a coach, Adam is like, all right, bullseye.
Yeah. But I love it. And also, one thing I did point out, because I took some notes and I wanted to bring them up to you, Tom Gores and Troy, and how Tom Gores mentioned how he didn't want to let the players down. And Troy mentioned to Monty, well, our locker room will match up with anybody in the NBA, which gave me goosebumps. And Monty heard that and heard the words restore, or the word restore, not rebuild. Just kind of talk about, too, I guess, now that Monty's here, the press conference is over with. What's the atmosphere in the room now that he's officially the head coach? The players, I mean, everybody's excited for him, but now the offseason, the work begins. But I guess just overall, your thoughts on just yesterday and moving forward, Monty Williams with the Pistons, just in overall.
That is go time. That is go time. Like, they all stated it. Tom Gore said as well. We believe we are ready to win. They asked, I believe it was Jamal Collier from ESPN who welcomed Monty Williams, but then directed his questions to Tom Gores and Troy Weaver about what does this hire mean. And they both stated, yeah, it's time to win. Troy, you know, he's a little bit more stoic. And his first answer was just yes. And then we are ready to compete. You know, this was their refrain at the beginning of last year. And the thing that they said held them down, they're still holding true to this. And I tell you this all the time, Adam. They believe in their draft picks. They said that they do believe that the injury of Kay Cunningham slowed all the progress they thought that they were going to have of this past season. So the overall theme, it was that they're ready to win, that they're going to get out there. I just wrapped the pod with Rod Beard. We're still trying to figure out exactly which way they're going to go. If they truly believe that these players or who they're going to invest in, or if they still need to go out there and make a significant splash in the offseason. But he does believe that, as I do, and the feeling around there and what they were saying, they're ready to win.
I was telling Jeff this earlier. One, credit to Tom Gores for essentially going all in to make this happen. Ton of credit, respect for that.
Yeah.
I think him and Troy Weaver were at a crossroads. I do. Not that they don't agree. I think it's okay. It's healthy to disagree with your teammates, your leadership, the people you work with. It's good. That's how you solve problems. But I don't think Tom Gores was trying to see Kevin Ali become the next head coach, or Steven Silas, or any of these guys become the next head coach. I'm done with losing. I need somebody that I can trust, an adult, come in here, hold people accountable, build an offensive identity, build a defensive identity, build a potential winner in this town. I like Cade, I like Ivy, I like Duren, but Troy, you got to stop fucking going after people like James Wiseman. You got to stop bringing me all these people with potential upside. That's great. I need to build a roster. How can we win more games? It's about winning at the end of the day. You can only rebuild for so long. You've been rebuilding for 5 years, essentially. You've been rebuilding for 5 years. The product hasn't been good. The draft picks, it all started with Cade. Fine, I'll give you that. But the point is, you haven't been good in a very long time. Over a decade, you haven't been any good anyways.
Yeah.
Troy Weaver needs to stop going for young, up-and-coming potential talent that he can flip, and he needs to start thinking about how can I surround Cade and Ivy with solid role players, veteran leadership, guys that can walk in and get me 14 a night while Cade and Ivy are running the offense. How do I get more out of Killian Hayes coming off the bench? Jalen Duren, can he be a 14-10 guy this year? We'll see.
Yeah.
I think, they believe in their draft picks. I agree. I believe in them too. I do. But Troy's got to start thinking of how do I build a roster, not how do I fix a roster. This is not a restoration process. This is I need to build a winner. And not a winner with Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond, where you know you're going to get fucked in the first round. No, a winner where Cade and Ivy are a potential all-star backcourt, and you surround them with the talent necessary to potentially get into the second round 3 years from now. That's the goal, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the thing. I saw a graphic online that showed a lineup. I forget the exact lineup, but I do believe it was Cade, Ivy, Bojan, Stu, and Duren. That lineup like never saw the court together.
Yep.
And that's what I'm stating. They're sitting here having to state, did we make the right draft picks? Because if you did make the right draft picks, then your augmentation would be things like, we're going to just go and grab another Duren.
How true is that? That's not true, though. We're going to get
Alec Burks. Those guys were banged up all year. Cade played 12 games.
I think you're giving a pass on draft picks because of injuries, which I guess is fair, but look at Aaron Gordon. He was selected, what, 4th overall? He was never going to be the face of a franchise.
No.
And then Denver took him. And Denver said, we don't want you to do that. We want you to play defense. We want you to be a versatile wing player. We want you to learn how to shoot the three. We want you to express yourself and show off your skills, but within our offense. And now Aaron Gordon is a very valuable player in the NBA. Isaiah Stewart, I think the same way of. Not that you took him that high, but Isaiah Stewart has a role to play on a team.
Right.
Killian Hayes can have a role. A lot of the Pistons roster are fucking role players, man. And that's the thing where I brought up Troy. No more role players. Bring me bona fide starters that fit, that Monty Williams can coach, and can help groom and develop Cade and Ivy. That's your future.
I agree with that, but I'm going to continue to stress that. If you have to go in and bring in bona fide people, then you do not believe in your number one and your then Jade and Ivy and your Duren. And this is what I mean by this. This is what I mean by this. I can see them going and making one big splash. But what much more, how much more are you actually looking for them from a star position?
Not looking for stars. I'm not looking for stars. I'm looking for veteran, quality players.
Yeah, and that's the push. That's
few
what
and
they
far
said
in between right now.
That's what they said they're looking for. And I think that when you look at how the rebuild has gone, this is just at the stage that they're at. I do believe if Cade did not get injured, we see them taking a completely different approach. I do believe this team is a 30-plus win team. When you look at the type of player that Bojan Bogdanovic is, he was brought here specifically to complement Cade Cunningham. He admitted that, and other people within the organization admitted that, and they just didn't play together. Then they switched their whole tune after that to trying to compete, trying to win, trying to put out the best lineups, to people just now magically having 30-game injuries out of nowhere. This was something kind of strategic. And that's what I'm saying. The team that they're supposed to put out there from just a basketball standpoint was actually supposed to be pretty decent. That was supposed to be a decent squad with no depth, though. So that going into this next season, they can go and then they have to make a splash because some of these parts and pieces did not pan out. Some of them did not take the steps forward, as well as the step back with K getting hurt. So now they're sitting kind of in this middle of, do we augment or do we go and compliment somebody right now, because you can't keep going on and losing. That's why I'm saying, nah, it's time to get going with these draft picks. I don't want to see them doing this for 3 years. I don't want the playoffs.
Well, then
in 3
Marvin
years,
Bagley, James Wiseman, Corey Joseph need to get the fuck out of town. With all due respect. And you need to bring in guys that can space the floor.
I like the all due respect.
Hit shots and move on.
Like that makes it better.
And then if you want your second lineup, if you want your second unit to be a unit that features Killian Hayes, a guard, Ivy, Cade, who knows how they're going to plan it.
Yeah.
And your 3 is an unknown or the draft pick potentially. And then your 4 is going to end up being Isaiah Stewart. And then your 5, maybe you play without one or it's Wiseman. That's not appealing to me. I don't think that still works. So, again, that's why I bring up Troy. There's a lot of... It's not about restoring or patience. It's nothing to do with that. I think they have the patience needed. Some of these players, man.
But we talked about this last year on the Woodward Pistons podcast. Last year was always about figuring out who's staying and who's going. So it's figuring out the roster itself. I know Cade went down and it changed a lot of things, but regardless, you were going to find out a lot about a lot of people on this team last year. And I think they found out a lot.
Do you have the answers?
Yes.
Marvin Bagley, yes or no?
No.
Excuse me, Isaiah Stewart, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, we all agree on this. Great.
Yep.
Killian Hayes, yes or no?
He said
there's the fucking debate, right?
But regardless, even with Killian Hayes on the bench, they had a pretty good bench last year.
And
Corey
he did
Joseph,
round
no.
out in the form.
No. Corey Joseph, no.
Bagley, no. I already brought up Bagley.
Yeah, you brought up Bagley.
Yeah,
But Burks, Bojan, the veterans they have, like those pieces as well. They have money to spend. I think it's more about just figuring out, and I want to ask you this, the draft pick. You're picking 5th overall. Is there a situation you see or a scenario you see in which that 5th overall pick will be starting? Or do you think it's more likely he'll come off the bench? Because if you say he's starting, I think that changes a little bit.
I think they trade it to this day. I'm not backing off what I said originally.
Well, potentially they trade it. But if you draft somebody at 5 overall, I think in free agency, if you sign veteran wings or wing players that I think day one will be better than your draft pick, he shouldn't start day one.
This is the one thing that I've realized. Every time we say trade, I don't think people think trade back. I think people instantly think we're going to trade the pick for another player that's already established. And Rod Beard on the pod this morning, he brought up a guy you like, Jeff. He said, where do you believe Taylor Hendricks is going to get drafted? And I said, I would love for him to take one of those Jalen Duren type to 13 slides, but I think his low is 9 or 10. He said, then why isn't it smart for the Pistons? He said, how much separation between Cam Whitmore and Taylor Hendricks? I said, not much. Why would you not trade back and take Taylor Hendricks? And it was like, that would be the play. That's the logical thing to do if you're looking at adding talent. Whether that player would start or not, I do believe potentially it behooves the Pistons. It benefits them to trade back. Take a couple more shots in this draft. Give yourself an opportunity realistically with some of these players that Adam wants to move on from, and some of the players that we think could be expendable, whether we think they're good or not. When you can stack the deck with more draft picks, like they did in that first year with Killian, Sadiq, and Isaiah Stewart, then it gives you the opportunity to flip some of those other guys.
Right. And it shouldn't be for draft capital this year. Like if you move back, yes, but I'm talking about if you get a first and a second, maybe multiple first, whatever it is, you got to start getting picks down the line because it's not just this season, it's in the future. You need draft capital to be able to acquire a star. Cleveland knows that when they got Donovan Mitchell.
And next year's pick is a little dicey right now.
Right, especially that, with the Knicks owning it and really it being top 15 protected. So honestly, I think this season with Monty Williams, it doesn't change my expectations, but I'm much more confident now with Monty Williams.
Can we agree on two things? Troy Weaver's going to trade a ton leading up or draft day. Right? Can we agree? I think he's going to move a lot of players. I think Bagley's getting moved. I'm not going to comment on Bojan because I think he helps Cade a lot and Ivy. He gives you the spacing you want. He's such a good three-point shooter. We're talking about different things at the time. All right,
giving
stop.
Bojan some credit.
I am. I'm a good man.
I love it.
I love it.
Again, moving on. The second thing, which, again, we don't talk about. We just say we have money. We have money. Everything's okay. Oh, my God.
Where are we spending it?
Where? You go to wing players, Karis LeVert. You bring him. Seth Curry. Well, he can't play a lick of defense.
No.
No.
You're going to go pay Bruce Brown the bag? He's probably going to sign on a low deal to stay in Denver and try to repeat. So who? Jay Crowder? There's one. Okay.
I don't know if Monty and Jay would work.
Obviously, but no, I'm just naming the names. Kelly Oubre, I'm not interested.
But I would love Jay Crowder.
Torrey Craig, that's an interesting one.
That's a
but
solid
again,
one.
these are just like
Those are role players.
marginal role players. I don't think you're going to get a bona fide starting 3 in free agency. I think it comes through a draft pick or trading that draft pick and packaging it with a Bagley or somebody, and you go out and get a 3 that walks into this team, isn't the 1, isn't the 2, but can give you 3 type scoring and 1 or 2 type defense, if that makes sense. Who that trade is, I really don't have any idea. I tried doing the trade scenarios. I couldn't find fucking one. But, Troy, good luck. Good luck.
Jeff, what's on your mind, man?
Let's see. It sounds like somebody I want, somebody that can fill a role, can shoot.
Who?
6'9", has length, can defend, plays at UCF. He's a freshman by the name of Taylor Hendricks. He fits that mold. But also,
I'm not saying. I literally said either it could be that pick or you package it.
And you know what I'm
not hating your Taylor Hendricks pick.
You know what I love too, and again, and when I talk about Taylor Hendricks, it's not to try and belittle any of the other draft picks. I would take Jarris Walker, Cam Whitmore. I mean, I'm all for those guys. I have a personal preference.
A lot of people are starting to really like Taylor Hendricks,
and they're coming around on him.
They're really.
And you were there right after the lottery. I started watching film on the top 10 prospects. I love Taylor Hendricks.
You asked me. You were like, bro,
and I asked you at the time.
I was like, I gotta familiarize myself.
And everybody called me crazy. And then now I see more and more Taylor Hendricks. So I'm like, okay, well, finally everybody's coming around. But this is what I don't understand. And Adam, we had this conversation about the NFL draft. If you like a player, you take him. So when people say we'll trade back the pick, the question I would have is, okay, who's coming up to take the pick? And if there is a team, because I think if people want to trade up, it'd be for Scoot, for Brandon Miller, it'd be for a top 2, top 3 pick, top 5. I don't know the likelihood of it, but I don't want the reason you're not drafting Taylor Hendricks is I wouldn't take him at 5, but I'd take him at 7.
That makes no sense to me.
Take him at 5. If you want him, take him at 5.
Some of these teams in the playoffs, and we've seen this the last couple of years, they had some lottery picks on their team that were actually playing some important roles. So when you do say who's taking these players, some of these teams who need to improve, but they don't have the cap space, they will trade with you, and they will have to give up things. The one thing that I've tracked since Troy Weaver's been in and Rod told me to kind of watch this, it's the amount of disgruntled stars that just come out of nowhere. The things that you never hear, and then all of a sudden the Pistons are involved in it, or other teams are involved in it. That's how we got Jeremy Grant. He wasn't even disgruntled. Denver said, we'll match the money. But that relationship, I don't know what Troy Weaver is doing behind the scenes. Even the Bojan Bogdanovic deal, it was like, where? We were all sitting here like, okay, cool. We were just getting, I think, down from the high of the Jalen Duren trade.
But we're playing this game of chess, thinking we're in control, when in reality Denver benefited from letting go of Jeremy Grant because they were able to get Michael Porter Jr., they were able to fill out their roster, pay him really nothing compared to what he would go in the market today.
Right.
So,
but that's
again,
Denver.
I want to give credit to Troy. I think he's done a good job. But building a contending roster is very different than every year surprising us, making us happy with a few flips, trading Sadiq Bey, acquiring Wiseman, acquiring draft picks that turn into Jalen Duren, acquiring contracts, and next thing you know, you got a first-round pick for it, and that turns into somebody. Like, it's all nice. When does it come together? And that's what I think Monty's here for, is to allow it to come together. And I don't think it all happens in 1 year, but I expect Troy to maneuver a lot. There's no way Monty's walking in with that 10-11 core of 10-11 players going into next season.
And by the way,
I think 3 or 4 of them are gone.
Yeah, I would
agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. You see Ermanni Bates playing with Jalen Duren?
I did see that.
I hope they take him.
I've been on that train.
Small confession. Well, late first round, fucking go for him. Trade up if you have to. I don't care.
Yeah,
go for him.
Go get him.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You want to trade up to 20 and take him? Go for it. Fuck it. Honestly,
trade up to 20?
Worth the story It's nothing. Everything after the it's all nothing. It's all a fucking crapshoot in the
you're
NBA.
just throwing it.
Who cares?
You're throwing stuff
you
at the
trade
wall,
a
seeing if it
future
sticks.
second and a 3 years from now another second to move up 8, 9 spots. I don't give a shit. Go
I think
for
you
it.
got to get him. I do.
It'd be a good story, man.
I know some people are saying get him away from home, and I'm like, wait, he got in trouble when he went away from home. He's here, and we haven't heard really much of.
Balled out at
He's
Easter.
just been kind of balling.
Put it on Michigan the one time they played. That was nice. I'm down.
Go Blue
That's
Dog.
a guy that's going to come in, have a role, and he's going to be a guy that can shoot the ball and give you the space.
And for how low risk it is, I mean, for the situation he'd be coming into, although it is close to home, Dwayne, John Beilein, Monty Williams, Steven Silas, the basketball knowledge he'd be a part of or be around, I think it's great. And a culture of players that are around the same demographic.
We have to
same
go.
age, too.
We have to go, but I have one more question to ask you.
Yes, sir.
It is against my ethos not to be an asshole, so I have to say it. 27% from the field, 37% from, 27% from 3, 37% from the field. That's Killian Hayes in his career. Wait, how much of a leap forward can he take this year? Because I don't see him taking a 10-point step forward in either category, where he's a 47, 48% from the field and 35, 37% from 3. I just don't see it. Everybody is on board with Monty making Killian Hayes a better player. I don't buy it, but you tell me. Is he going to improve significantly this offseason because of Monty?
The reason why I'm excited about Monty and Killian is when we saw Killian at his best was when they had him in kind of some off-ball roles. They had him diving, cutting, catching like passes in the paint. And then when Cade went down, they had to kind of switch all that because they just didn't have the guards. What I like about Monty is something you guys have heard me complain about. They're not throwing lobs. They're not throwing backdoor cuts. They're not doing anything to Jaden Ivey. I believe that having a coach like this will get the best out of all of these on-ball players.
Coach that knows how to run an offense.
Players.
Fuck if I knew what that was.
Listen, that was the one I conceded. That from the X's and O's standpoint, from the offense, I believe that the Pistons needed to augment or make a change. And that's what I believe is going to make the biggest difference. When you just say, Killian, you're a good facilitator. We trust you to run our plays. That's a little bit different.
I can buy into that.
But that's a little bit different.
But don't shoot the fucking ball.
But Killian as a 6'5" guy with a little bit of athleticism coming off the wing with just the rim in front of him, we've seen him catch that and just dunk it.
He just doesn't do it enough.
Because he's not in that position. When they put him as a point guard, other teams know from a defensive standpoint, we can fluster the heck out of him. This is basketball 101. People, we go to the playground. You know, certain guys, you can put them in certain situations. But when you pull them off ball and don't just make them stand in a corner, but start to get motion going and dribble handoffs, he looks like a different player. He looks like a guy that's playing on the playground. Yeah. And that was the biggest switch between remember preseason. I implore everybody, go look at how they used him in preseason. When Cade went down, everything changed. They put the ball back in his hands, and it looked like Blake Griffin years Killian Hayes. It just was like he just was a stick in the mud. So that's where I believe Monty will have the biggest difference if they choose to keep Killian.
I appreciate you for joining us this morning. You do an excellent job as always. Jeffrey the man. We'll take